In this class, we're gonna do the front-end application and we are trying to connect both applications. So let's see it in practice. All right. Well, I usually love to make two different classes here, right? So I'm gonna say part 01, okay? And I'm gonna move everything to the part 01. No update on parts. And then the part, no, I'm gonna just copy and paste it and I'll call it part 02. No. So we can close them all. We can close the applications here. I will exit from here. And let's go to the 02. It's gonna be the server. Let's keep the server running. So I'm gonna remove this node modules and install it again. And then let's keep everything working. I'm gonna run here the curl we were using a lot, right? Localhost 3000. And I'm gonna just stop it and check that everything's working. Okay, so now it's part 2, and just let's remove this log from the map because I'm not liking this much. Okay, if we curl now, nice, that's it, my friend. If we increase we remove the timeout here, we're gonna see much more data here, right? So it's just a matter of seconds or milliseconds. Perfect. Let's go to our app now. So in the app, I'm gonna open another application here. So here it's gonna be module 4, the 2 and part 2, and app. Okay, we're gonna initialize a Node.js project there, and we're gonna install the HTTP server so we can use this as a new application. Okay, so now we're gonna have let's put here an HTML file. Okay, and I'll type HTML5. I will see web streams. It's nice. And hello world. So just check if everything's working fine. And here our start, it's gonna be HTTP server npx, just to make sure it's from our node modules. And then npm start. Okay, so we can go to our browser now and open the localhost 8080. So our hello world is there and we don't see any errors so far. Perfect. Let me keep it this way. All right then. So first of all, let's create our index.js file. I'll put here console.log hello. And let's import it from our HTML. So source is gonna be on this same folder, and then remember type module, so we can use ECMAScript modules. So I'm gonna update it, and we can see the hello working. Nice. Well, I'm gonna write a very simple interface here to help us to see like the whole information in cards. So let's write some CSS. Oh no, my god. Okay, so first I'm gonna create two buttons. So this ID, it's gonna be start, oops, and he start, and then stop and stop. So when we click start, we start reading data, consume the whole data, and stop, we're gonna stop them all. All right, then we're gonna have a div with all the content, with which is gonna be our container. So I'm gonna name here as container, so we can map with CSS later. And then I'm gonna have a main element, which is gonna be all the cards. So I'm gonna put cards, and it's gonna be our grid. So I'm gonna create all those classes later. Okay. If we go to the browser, we can see just the start stop because we haven't put anything on the cards. Okay. Well, our cards, I think we can just, let's write everything on HTML and then we can fix it on CSS. Okay. So we're gonna have an article, and then we're gonna have a div with the class, the class text. Okay. Well, after it, we can put our title here. Then we can put some description. Like if we type Lauren here, we can get a lot of data. I'm gonna keep just this way. And then as we are consuming a lot of links there, I'm gonna put some here and say like, here's why. Okay. Simple as that. Let's save it. So we have the full data here, but in CSS we're gonna put it a bit. We just gonna like fix the position of it. Okay. So the grid one, it's gonna be our grid of cards. So grid, we will have the display grid. We're gonna have the grid template columns, which is gonna be repeat, autofill, min max 280 pixels in 1 FR. And then the grid gap, it's gonna be 20 pixels. And then the align items center. Okay, let's see if we see some difference. We don't have yet, but we can actually copy and paste these articles so we can see the difference. So now everything seems to be working, right? We have all the content in different columns. Nice. Well, in the article, so we're gonna have the grid article. We're gonna do something more. I'm gonna put some border there. So it's gonna be 1 pixel, solid, and maybe CCC. So if we update now, grid article, class grid, oh, it's solid. So if you run now, nice. So now we can see some lines there. Okay. And just a last thing on the grid, on where we have the text, I'm gonna put a padding of 20 pixels. Let's save it. Nice. So it's a bit beautiful, right? For a backend developer, it's okay. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna fill our data with those articles. Okay, perfect. Let's go back to what we learned. Let's consume this data. Okay, so I'm gonna create here the API URL, which is our HTTP localhost 3000. Okay, and then I'm gonna create a function called consume API. Okay, and then we're gonna receive this signal so we can abort operations as well. So await consume API. Let's create our abort controller as we just did on the Node.js side. Abort controller. Okay, so here we have this signal. Nice. To consume an API, we can use fetch, right? So we can use fetch on our API URL, and then we can send the signal. Okay. To read data in JavaScript as string, look how amazing is it. We can get the reader, which is our response.body. Okay, and then see we have reader we have pipe through, pipe to, and the others we just saw in Node.js. So it's exactly the same thing. So let's use maybe the pipe to. So we can create a writable string here. Use the write. I'm gonna grab the chunk, exactly the same thing we just did in Node.js. So I'm gonna say chunk and chunk here. Okay, so we are reading our body here and just printing out all the results. And now I'm gonna just return back the reader. I'm gonna save it. Let's go to the browser again. And not found. Oh, I put it's missing. Yeah. It's not correct URL. Now it is. So let's see. Cars. So we have some problem with cars here. Access control origin. So I think I might have typed wrong there. So on the server, let's see our cars configuration. Yeah, control is typed wrong, right? It's just one L. So let's start again. Allow origin is missing. Yes, because we haven't sent it, right? We are using the options here. We are consuming data, but we haven't done anything here. So, okay. So after all, or here, because we don't want to wait, okay? So response right head is gonna be 200 and our headers. Nice. Just save it and let's check it out. Ooh, see my friend, we can see all the results, but it's a uint array, which means it's a binary array. So how do we convert it? We could use buffer.from, right? But buffer.from is a Node.js site. So we can use something even better. Just a small nit here. We are not handling if we have some problem here, right? So I'm gonna say, no, let's keep this way, right? I won't do, so we won't miss time here. Okay, so we know we have used this API. Do you remember? Yes, the text decoder. I think it's just text decoder. And let's check it out. Ooh, pipe through, missing, readable. It's not decoder. It's text decoder stream. Nice! Now we have seen everything as JSON on a different chunk. Okay? Just a small thing here. Remember I said Node.js could... I will actually talk about a bit more on the next modules, but Node.js helps us to handle backpasture. So imagine the backend now is sending a lot of data and the front end is not consuming data as fast as Node.js is sending. So what Node.js does is he just hold the data, it starts queuing everything, and then when the front end side, when the consumer says, oh, I'm ready to get the results, then they release all the whole things in one single connection. So we might see on the single chunk to have more than one writing. So we should actually, as a good practice, to break down by the break lines as we actually did on our nd2json class. Okay, so let's create a function to parse it to nd.json. So function parse nd.json. Okay. So our nd.json, it's gonna process data for us. You know who processes data in Node.js, which is the transform string, okay? So I'm gonna just return a transform string right away. I will fill the transform with a chunk and the controller. And I will just pass through this way the chunk, okay? And then we can comment our writable string and pipe through our parse nd.json function, okay? So the next ones could grab data and can do whenever they want. Nice. And here we have the readable, which we can use later. Okay, I'm gonna just remove this one here. So readable pipe 2, just to make sure everything's keep working. So I just save it, and then we can see everything working, right? We can see an error here, but I'm gonna fix it right away. Okay, what else? Well, let's work on our parse in the JSON file. So first of all, I'm gonna create here a variable called buffer, and the first thing I will do is to concat our buffer with the chunk. Okay, so remember what we've done in the JSON class when we are holding all the chunks until we see the break lines. When we see the break lines, we just move forward and remove the back chunk. So here we're gonna do the items. It's gonna be the buffer split, and I'm gonna try finding the break lines. Okay, well, once I find the break lines here, I'm gonna grab just the first one. So I can say const first. No, we can go with items 0. Okay, if we haven't seen anything here, we just return. Otherwise, we're gonna keep searching data. I think it's items. Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna just send this first one and then handle the next. Okay. So in this case, I know what to do. So I'm gonna say that our queue, it's gonna parse the items on 0. Okay, and after we reach that chunk, we can actually say that our buffer is now our items on the last position, right? So it's gonna be 1 on the next one, right? I'm gonna put items.length just to get the last, but just make sure that we are handling just, if in this case it's gonna be 2 chunks at most. So only handling break line, only handling cases where 2 items comes in 1 chunk. So we should put more logic here to get all the remaining items from there. Okay, I think we are set. Just to make sure we don't miss any data, because we are putting data here, we could use the flush, which is exactly the same thing we used on the final on that class, which I'm gonna grab the controller, and if we don't have any buffer, I'm gonna just return it. What else? I'm gonna use the controller to enqueue the remaining bytes, and I'm gonna try parsing this buffer. In our case, it's gonna be rare, right? Because the chunk size, the item, it's very small. But imagine like your JSON file or your JSON item is really big. We're gonna have to parse it better here, but just keep in mind what we are doing here. Okay, well, I think we are all set. So we are parsing here the whole thing, and now the chunk should have not a string anymore, should have a JSON, right? So I'm gonna save it. Let's go back to browser, clean it all, and now we can see the JSON. Ooh, exciting, isn't it? Well, we are almost there. So we are consuming data. We created our transform string to handle data right there. And now we just control the data flow. So as we have the chunks coming here, we should actually append it to the HTML. So I'm gonna create here append to HTML. I'm gonna receive the element, and remember, the last thing on our string is a writable string. So I'm just gonna keep this here so you can see later, but I'm gonna just copy here so we save time. Okay, So on the right, we know this is a JSON, right? So we can actually grab all those properties. So description, title, and URL. Nice. And then we can actually put on our HTML. So I'm gonna use this append here. So pipe2 could be in the same line. Pipe2, our append to HTML. And then we should grab those buttons, right? So we have here start and stop, and I'm gonna save all articles here on IDs. So I'm gonna just remove one and delete all of them. I'm gonna put here, just commented that way, and we can grab all the elements here. So I'm gonna use, first of all, it's start, stop, which is the buttons, and then we have the cards, right? Start, stop, and cards. So I'm gonna, for each item we have, I will have the document, element by ID item, and then I'm gonna put it on a variable called start, stop, and cards, just to save time. Nice. Now we have the cards. I'm gonna send to the append HTML with all the cards, the card element, okay? And now we should work on this string. So const item, maybe, and we put it as string. I can actually move here to improve the vel. So here is the description. On P here, it's gonna be, it's actually title, right? Title, description, and our URL. Well, as we have each individual item here, I can actually call our element inner HTML receives the item. Could be the card. I think it's better because we are handling cards, right? As we've done on the others, we could actually use the abort here to get the reason. So console.log aborted, and we have the reason if you want to. Okay, so now we are consuming data on demand there and append to HTML. So I'm gonna save the HTML and the index file, and let's go back to our browser. Ooh, my friend, it's reading as we want to. So if I click on the link, just make sure everything is working. But yeah, but I'm not like cool with these long texts, so let's just keep this short. So slice 0 to 100. I think it's better. Yeah, even better, right? Small texts. Perfect. So we are handling data. We should just grab the events for start, stop, and our other objects. Okay, so here I'm gonna put as let, as we're gonna subscribe, as we're gonna override this variable later. I'm gonna use the start, add event listener, click, so we can have the click as a async operation, and I'm gonna move our readable string there. Nice. So now our process will only start after you click the start button. I'm gonna do the same thing for the stop. So stop here. But when we click stop, we should abort our process, right? I will put a console.log here, aborting. And we should override with a new abort controller because you can click start and stop a lot of times, okay? Let's check this out. So I'm gonna restart it. We have already aborted. Let's see why. Yeah, I just restarted the browser and it worked. So if I click start, it starts consuming data, and if I click stop, we can see the aborting and the aborter as well. Well, I think to handle this operation, we can do as we did on the other one, right? So on the pipe 2, we can have the signal, which is abort controller.signal. And then we can have an await here, right? So we can actually, yeah, we can try doing the same thing we've done on the other. I'm gonna move it. The pipe 2 is there. And I'm gonna put just await here. And I'm gonna move. So we can catch the error if you want to. So I'm gonna just copy here. Let's see. Error. Save it and let's do again. Start and stop. Ooh, yes. So if it's, we can copy and paste from the server, right? The same if. So I'm gonna put there. So if it's an abort, I will just ignore it. So I'll just start and stop. And nice. This is because we put there, right? So I don't want this to appear. Start. Ooh. Something went wrong. Start and stop and start again. We see an error here on the line 24 in our JSON parse. I'm not sure if the, yeah, let's see what is this error. So I'm gonna put this here in console log error. And I'm gonna throw again just to make sure it will stop. Start, stop, start, stop. It's not throwing. Oh, yeah. An error. All right, let's change a bit our algorithm here. I think that might be wrong with our breaking lines here. So I'm gonna use items slice 0 and -1. I'm gonna go for each item, and then I'm gonna do the controller in queue here. So it's gonna be just item. Okay, I'm gonna remove this try catch. I'm gonna remove this if, and this might do the job. So let's start again. Start, stop, start, stop. Yeah, it fixed it. Nice. So now if we go and update again and start and just stop, you can go to your VS Code and check out it just ran 5 items. So I think we should put some numbers here, right? So for each item we can put right away counter 0, and right before the title I'll put like in brackets ++ counter. Okay, and every time we cancel an operation we put it as 0. Okay, so let's start again. Start now and stop, and now we run 15. If we go to node we see 15. If now I put again start, we're gonna see from 1. So yeah, I have a few tasks for you as well. But let's try doing some experiment. I'm gonna click stop here, and I go to the node server, and I will comment the set timeout. What's gonna happen to our front end? Ooh. So I'm gonna update it, start it, and see. It's reading the whole thing, my friend. Nice, isn't it? But notice that the browser takes some time to render all those data, right? But Node.js, if we go there, we can see that Node just sent it right away. We can try doing again. So I'm gonna just update this file, and I'll click the start and stop right away. Okay? So if we go to the Node.js, you can see the node just sent all the data, but it's just backing pressure all the data so the browser can handle it. So how many items the browser received? Just 426. Nice, isn't it? So the server is sending data, but as long as the user or the consumer can access this data, they will succeed. Now I have some tasks for you. The first task is for you to fill up this app with automated tasks to cover both back and front end apps. The second task is to implement the resume feature. Once you click on the stop and then click on start, it should start consuming data from the item it stopped. Imagine you clicked stop and it downloaded 100 items. When you click on start again, it will consume data from the 100 first and keep downloading until you stop again. Let me know on Discord channel or here in the comment section if you have any trouble. All of our community will help you achieving those tasks. Once you have finished it, put the GitHub repo in the comments so other students can discuss the different solutions with you. Don't forget to rate this class by clicking the star below. I'm available to chat on our Discord channel anytime, so feel free to use it as much as you need it. I hope this module has met or even exceeded your expectations. I'm Eric Wendell, and I'll see you in the next module.